looks like this. No? It's not as hot.
Today, it's like super warm out.
Jen? Is that you?
It's me, the unmistakable voice. Here we are.
Oh, it's going to be a good day.
Oh, yeah. I'm hoping.
Let's go. I'm Eric Murphy, and joining me today is...
Jen Aldrich.
Oh, my gosh. All right.
Oh, this has happened finally.
It has been a long time coming.
Seriously.
First off, it's January 5th, 2020, Season 4, Episode 1.
Congratulations on your 4th season.
Oh, I'm so excited.
To all of the hosts of Talk Heathen, congratulations on the 4th season.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
Thank you. I'm pretty excited about it. Let's see.
I can tell by that little dance that you just did.
I have my regular announcements, and I've got a couple other special ones. So let me go through the special ones first off.
Okay.
If you want to join the... So how do I explain this? Under this video right now, there's a button that says join right next to subscribe.
Right.
You can join at a certain dollar level, and there are like custom emojis and things like that that you can do in the live chat.
Oh, there's custom emojis now.
Yeah.
That is awesome.
Right.
That's amazing.
So there are host emojis, love rings, and a flying spaghetti monster emoji. So definitely check that out if you haven't. We're going to have a new episode of Atheist Vanguard at 3.
Yep.
And then... Well, then there's the reason why you're here.
And there's the reason I'm here. After AXP, we will be premiering.
After months of practice.
After
having to shut up for so long and watching y'all work it out and do the planning.
It's not about
and
you
put
right
the
now.
work
Stop with
in.
you. Stop with you. It's not about you right now.
What is it about? What is it about, Jen?
It's about Godless Bitches is back. We will be airing the new episode of Godless Bitches tonight after AXP. It's
3.0.
me, Bianca, and Jenna Belk, who are two amazing women that I'm really proud to just sit next to and actually talk about the things that we talk about normally. Now we're just going to talk about them with you.
It is a lot of fun. It's a really awesome dynamic. It is so much fun to do. So I'm excited. So you've got a long day today. You recorded earlier. You're doing Talk Heathen now.
I'm a New Yorker. We don't know anything but long days.
Okie dokie.
We do.
All right.
Do.
If you like what we're doing, if you want to be able to support us as we do new shows like Godless Bitches 3.0 and this show, charitable efforts that the ACA does, you can become a patron at patreon.com/talkheathen to me. That's patreon.com/talkheathen to me. We thank the top 5 patrons every week. I've got it up on my screen. I hit refresh, and then I thank them 2/3 of the way through the episode. So if you want to get your name read out, now's the time. Become a patron at patreon.com/talkheathen to me. Whew, I think that's a lot. Let's see. Anything else? I usually ask my co-host, how was your week?
I was going to ask, how was your New Year's?
It was good. There was a party at Matt's.
Yep.
I saw you there.
We were there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. That was fun. Let's see. I was interviewed on an episode of Everyone's Autonomous.
I heard. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet because
no worries.
Stuffs, but
it's good.
You are going to be my plane companion on the way back.
Dig it.
So.
Well, the interesting thing is that dynamic in particular is one that I was having trouble remembering that I was being recorded. It was just
Marie's
friendly.
Amazing.
She is, and it's definitely. If you haven't checked out the Everyone's Autonomous podcast, definitely
hosted by Marie LePage. I'm saying that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, Marie LePage is her podcast, and she's just a beautiful human being. Really, she's.
Oh yeah.
That person has such a good place in my heart. I got crammed into Star Wars for 3 days straight.
That sounds like fun.
I had mentioned I'd never seen a Star Wars movie, ever. And
how did you operate in pop culture?
I know. I have no idea how. And I was just like, I can, kind of pick it up. And I know, like, the key points. And one of my friends was like, fix it. And all of a sudden it was on the screen. So we did 4, 5, and 6, day 1. 1, 2, and 3, day 2. And then we did 7 and 8. And then went and saw the last one in the theater. So in 3 days, I am completely caught up with the Star Wars universe now. I'm so excited that I get the memes. I am so happy. I'm scrolling through social media and I'm like, I understand this now. This is fantastic. In my 30s is when that's fine.
Next
is Raiders of the Lost Ark. I've never seen any of those.
You've never seen any Indiana Jones movies?
No, I haven't seen any of them, and it's
Okay.
not because I have some
we're gonna
crazy...
pick this episode up another time. We've got to watch. Never mind.
It's not like crazy religious fundamentalism thing for me. It's just I just never got to it, and I was just like, and now I have to wait for my friends to fix my geek. Apparently,
I appreciate them very much. Thank you. So I kind of want to dive into calls. Are you ready?
yes.
All right. Let's talk to Josh in Houston. Josh, you're live with Eric and Jen. How are you doing?
Hi, Josh.
Hi, I'm fine. How are y'all?
Good.
Well,
Thank you for asking.
Yeah. What do you want to talk about today?
I just wanted to let you know that you are going to hell.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
I'm joking. Seriously joking.
I live in
okay.
Tennessee. I'm already there. Like,
No, I was serious.
You got me excited. What did you want to talk about?
You wanted to yell at me, huh?
I don't yell. I get disappointed.
Oh, that's mad, huh?
So what did you want to talk about?
What do you know about previous religions, other like before Judaism and whatnot?
I know that they existed.
yeah.
And I know
really
basic
done
things.
research.
Sociology 101, how organized society, builds up around certain places. Like you can see the Nile Delta and early civilizations down there and all that. But what specifically did you want to ask about?
Really just concentrating on the Sumerian religion.
Okay.
But I don't know exactly too much about it, but from what I have looked into about it, it seems like it is fairly related to Judaism, and so are basically all the religions around the area.
Well, I mean, that's kind of to be expected,
Well,
right?
we can all say that everything seems to be derived from the same story in any religion.
Yeah, you can find Lucifer in every single one of the places.
No.
Egyptian.
To an extent.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I found Lucifer even in the as an Egyptian god.
Okay.
Well, there's always going to be a bad guy when it comes down to any kind of faith. So
No, I'm
no
not
matter
talking
what.
about a bad guy.
You're saying Lucifer as depicted in the Bible.
Not as depicted in the Bible.
Okay, so then that's a different character, right?
Lucifer as known in,
No, not as known in.
So is it rebranding?
That would be like me saying, there's a bad guy in Harry Potter and there's a bad guy in Lord of the Rings. Therefore, if we go to Mordor, we will find he who shall not be named, right? Just because there are bad guys doesn't mean that they're the same.
No, that's not what I'm talking about.
Okay. Please, enlighten me. Help me.
I'm not. Yeah. When I say Lucifer, I'm not talking about a bad guy.
Okay.
When I say Lucifer, I'm talking about the god, or as Christians call him, an angel. Okay, and you remember how Christians used to view, or not Christians, but he used to be a good guy, and then he was depicted as bad.
Sure. Yeah, it's part of
The WWE analogy.
Yeah, like the Lucifer, Morning Star, Knowledge Giver, stuff like that. Okay, well, that's how he was known to pagans. They never saw like the evil side. They just thought he was a god, and they only saw what he did do for them.
Josh, you're talking about this character as if it's a real person. Why are you doing that?
Because that's kind of what I believe.
You believe that Lucifer Morningstar is a real person?
No.
Was a real person.
Person, not necessarily a person, but maybe a group of people.
Okay, who is this group of people? I'm curious. I think that
because I'm imagining this roving band of really pissed off angels, and like the halos are all right.
Well, I mean, yeah. First off,
when I say
first off, you're talking about a group of people. So
it's true. I don't claim it's true. It's a theory.
No, it's not a theory. It's a hypothesis.
It's a hypothesis.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
But
so what's your evidence that there was a roving group of Lucifers?
It's basically stuff you would have to go look up. I don't have like the knowledge off the top of my head to just provide it for you, and it's a bunch of different information.
Do you feel that information was convincing for you? Do you think that information would be convincing to us?
Us, exactly.
There is to a point, but I'm not convinced enough to sit here and say, well, this is just true to me, like, Christians do on faith with, God.
Okay.
It's very possible that I have no idea what I'm talking about.
Sure. Well, I mean, that's true of most things in my life. I just know to ask questions on this one.
Right. Good point.
Yeah.
You're learning, I'm glad.
But what I do believe is that at the very least, humans had more knowledge than we knew them to have. Than we know them to have.
Wait. Hold on.
Wait, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
Josh,
a little lost in.
Do you believe in ancient aliens?
Yes.
Oh boy. Oh.
Season 4, Episode 1, Ancient Aliens. Josh. Okay. I'm with you that we're likely not alone in the universe, but why do you think that aliens have visited the Earth?
Well, there's various things you can look at and point at, but
I mean,
various religions.
Convincing things.
Can you give some examples of very convincing things that have led you to this belief?
Okay, I can get you to at least one.
Okay.
Various religions point to the moon and say it was brought here by somebody, by their gods or whatever.
It's generally tied into a creation myth.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. When we went to the moon, we put like a seismometer on it and then dropped the, I believe it was the takeoff capsule or whatever near it. And when it hit it, it sat there and rang out like it was a piece of metal that was empty on the inside. And it rang out for like freaking 2 hours or such.
Wait, do you think that the moon is hollow and metal? I'm sorry.
I think he's talking about the time capsule that we put on the moon when we first landed there. And it was like a thing that they rang or something.
No, not a time capsule.
Okay.
They put a seismometer on the moon, and they dropped their drop ship near it. Mm-hmm. And when it landed, a seismometer, when you drop something near it, it's not going to sit there and vibrate for like ever like that.
Mm-hmm.
And
so how does that point to your belief in ancient aliens?
That's just one thing.
Is it related?
But how do you get that?
It is related.
Okay, how is it related?
No, I can't say that is aliens. For all I know, humans could have dug out the moon.
Jen.
When you say dug out, do you mean like dug the actual inside of the moon out and hollowed it?
Yes. Do you believe that the moon is hollow?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
So,
because they went back and did it again in a different.
Right.
Yeah, I think I'm getting
very next time we went to the moon, they went and did it in a different area just to, make sure that it wasn't malfunctioning. And they did it in a different area, and with something that was even heavier, and it did the same thing, but like for 5 hours.
Josh.
Yeah.
Wait, I have a question.
Why don't you just say, hey, this is an observed phenomena that we don't know. Why did you jump to the moon being hollow? Because that is fucking weird.
So wait, I have a question.
No, hold on. Josh.
Yes.
How did you come to the conclusion that the moon is hollow and not this is a thing that I don't understand? Please.
It could be something that I just don't understand, yes.
Is it more likely that it's just something you don't understand or that we need to learn about? Or do you believe that there's sufficient evidence to say that the moon is hollow? Because when you're making a claim like that, you're saying, there's been enough evidence to convince me. And I want that evidence because I want to be convinced. Right. Or figure out why it's not convincing to me and is convincing to you.
Okay, it's convincing to me because a renowned scientist said it's convincing enough to him.
Okay.
What scientist was this?
It doesn't even matter.
I don't remember his name.
It's an argument from authority.
Yeah.
So, if Josh, I'm sorry, I'm needing to take a breath and make
the
sure
only other thing that we know that
here.
would do something like that is a bell.
Josh.
I'm just going to circle this around here. So are you saying that aliens came to the moon, hollowed it out, and we're just now finding out about it through the seismometer?
Or that we hollowed it out.
Or that we did. That's what I'm trying to...
What I am most likely saying is, what I believe is,
I hope
they,
you know
they
what
actually
you're
brought it here.
You believe that the moon was brought
it here.
Okay, so...
Who's they?
By, aliens.
You believe the moon was brought here by...
That could be actually, false. Whatever.
Sure.
The moon could be...
Yeah?
The moon could have a reason for doing that I don't know about.
Wait. So, but his conclusion is still that it was brought here by aliens.
So do you think an alien race built a hollow moon and strapped it to the back of their
like
Ford pickup alien
thing? Yeah, like grandma up on the roof, Beverly Hillbillies style.
Right. Do they have pickup alien trucks and they just kind of hitch it on and go?
Instances about the moon that makes me believe that.
Hmm?
Okay, whenever a meteor hits the moon, it only goes down to a certain depth, no matter how big it is. It will only go down to a certain depth.
That sounds like bullshit, Josh.
Is there a source to back this up?
I actually can say definitively that there are massive craters all over the moon.
Of many depths and sizes.
Yes, massive craters that are wider, but it only goes down to a certain depth.
No.
Well, I mean, are you saying that every crater on the moon is the same depth or shallower?
Yes. Well, yes, or shallower.
Has a crater ever tried to hit it hard enough to possibly go deeper? Or were you just measuring this from the deepest depths that are available?
I'm going off of, facts that I've heard on documentaries that come from scientists.
Okay.
A place of authority. Yeah.
So here's where we get to something that I think is very, very usable.
Okay.
Josh, where did you find these documentaries?
On the History Channel.
Ah, right. Okay. also, I've seen documentaries like this on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. YouTube.
And obviously YouTube. Yeah, absolutely.
Hulu too.
So this is a serious problem. The problem is there's this format that when we see a documentary, we think, okay, these are true things that have been vetted by somebody and have been presented as evidence. And the fact is we have so many documentaries that are not adequately or appropriately explaining what's going on in the world. And instead, they're packaging up these preconceptions and giving them out as, facts that you wind up with this kind of problem. And this kind of problem, Josh, is, okay, first off, you have not yet given me enough evidence to accept the claim that the moon is hollow. You have not given me any evidence that the moon was brought here from somewhere else.
The moon,
and then you have not given me, Josh,
stuff like that.
Then you say I don't know. And then
yes, I really don't know. I can't.
Then say I don't know. You sound like a crazy person, Josh.
Oh, okay, you went there.
I know I am. Oh yeah, I know I am.
Okay, why should we believe you? Why do this to yourself?
I'm not asking you to believe me. I was just sitting there throwing ideas off of you and seeing what you thought.
Got it. Okay. So first off, aliens. Do I think we're alone in the universe or have always been alone in the universe or that there's possibility for life? I think it's way too big and we're made of a lot of chemicals. So odds are, yes.
Yeah,
sure,
odds
no
are
problem.
this experiment has happened before.
That said.
To be quite honest, I
hold on.
thought I was going to sound like a retard when I came on the show.
Josh,
hold on.
I grew up, I worked in special ed for many years. And that particularly upset me.
No. I have a son that's autistic. That word does not fucking fly here. Ever.
Again. So, but we're going to continue through.
Yeah.
Josh.
Okay, sound ridiculous then.
Yeah. So.
Sorry if you don't like the word.
No worries, man. It's just something that it has. Yeah. Anyway.
Mm-hmm.
When you're talking about all of that, it's okay to say I don't know, and it's okay to be wrong, and it's okay to embrace the fact that you're exploring a thing. And the last thing I want you to do is feel like you've been bullied into not learning and exploring. What I want to do is...
That is what I'm trying to do, is get to something.
Right.
You know, I don't stop at, oh, religion's not real. Well, I know it's not real, but I'm trying to find out what really happened. That's...
Sure.
Because I don't believe humans are stupid and just pointed to the sky and said, oh, a God exists.
Well, I think that we are incredible storytellers, and those stories have helped us. I do believe that.
And the supernatural is easy to explain things that we didn't understand and didn't have the means to understand at that point.
Absolutely.
Right.
So when we're looking back at the claim that you made, the best thing to do is to go, okay, what would be convincing evidence? If this was the case, what are other things that would have happened? So if you said that ancient aliens brought the moon to Earth, right? Possibly, you think you're working on that idea.
It sounds like the most logical to me, but you know, whatever. I'm not asking you to believe it.
Well, I mean, let's talk about what is logical and what is likely. Wouldn't the idea that it just being there, circling the Earth, right? We can say, okay, that's what's going on right now, right?
Okay, I can also
let's go back a little bit, and let's go. Okay, what has the fewest amount of steps? What comports with our understanding of reality, and also gets us there. And so, the idea that there was a large event where there was a meteor crash into the Earth, or even that there was a large...
I think it was another planet, it was a Mars-sized planet that hit the Earth, and that's what created our moon, is the kind of official hypothesis now.
Cool.
That's going.
But that
is a very good hypothesis.
And that also does not presuppose intelligent life bootstrapping a giant fuck-off hollow
Lego
rock
set
here.
and saying, hey, let's move it over there, you know?
Yeah.
I can give you one more piece of evidence, but it's only evidence. But still, it sort of supports it.
Okay. I'm interested. Let's hear it.
The moon rotates exactly the same speed it goes around the Earth, so we only see one side, which is highly unlikely to happen ever.
Well, you know that we see all sides of it.
Yes.
The moon spins, and we have mapped and charted the entire moon, right?
There are phases of the moon that as it rotates.
So
from what I understand, we only see ever one side of the moon.
At a time, sure.
Yeah, that night.
Yeah,
sure.
but if I wrote the numbers 1 to 100 around the circumference of a basketball, and I turned that basketball, you'd only be able to see so many of those numbers at a time. That doesn't mean you're never going to see all of them. You can count, you can go through that, but that doesn't mean that you're unable to have plotted the whole thing or seen all 1 through 100. It just means that you can only see so much at a time. How can you see the back of a sphere if you're looking at its front? That doesn't mean that the moon is just constantly facing us the same way, because it's not. You can look up pictures of the moon and see the face of the moon being different because it's constantly moving.
This is not what I have been told. From what I've been told, it circles the Earth. It turns just as fast as it circles the Earth, so we can only see one side ever. Like, everybody everywhere on the Earth sees only one side of it.
You know what?
I'm actually looking that up now.
No. So I messed that up.
Yeah.
The
title locking.
Yeah.
That was the word, yep.
The live chat has said I was absolutely wrong. My understanding of it was wrong. I apologize.
Yes, we apologize. That was something we probably should have looked at before we kind of went into it.
Actually, that's something I thought was the case. So I learned something.
Yep, so did I.
Okay, so do you think the moon is aware of this?
Do I think the moon itself is aware of this? No.
Yes. Okay, so what about the moon being in this kind of orbit indicates that it's hollow and was brought here?
It doesn't indicate that it's hollow, but it does indicate that, you know, it was intentionally put that way. Because that is just as unlikely as it not rotating at all.
So you're saying that they placed it there and somehow had a way for the moon to not spin?
Well, no, it spins, but it's tidal locked to the Earth.
Right. So
the only face the Earth.
So why would they do that?
Why?
Not even why. Who the fuck is they? And why are they?
The aliens that bought the moon
I don't know who
to us.
Okay,
this
figure
is
out.
not something I have answers for.
Okay.
Because, no aliens have come to me and said, oh, this is why we did such and such.
But in order for there to be any kind of evidence or proof, clearly these aliens must have left something to say, hey, this is what we did.
Otherwise, you're just pulling it out of thin air and bullshit documentaries that you found on the History Channel.
Which
Rest
is
in peace.
questionable. Mm-hmm.
History Channel. There was a time.
Yeah, okay. Well,
I want to follow you. The thing is,
Yeah.
you're just tagging on. You're tagging on a lot of assumptions, and I can't follow you through those assumptions.
No.
I can't
no,
move past the idea that there was something done by an alien. In the same way that if somebody says God did this, right? You can take a look at the event, and then you could say, okay, was that done by a god, and how did that god do it? So you're looking at the moon, and the moon thing itself is beautiful. But the actor involved, right? You're saying that there is an intelligent actor. In this case, you're saying it's aliens, and we need to be able to determine whether or not that's likely or possible before it's probable. There we go.
Yes.
So is it possible for that to happen? And then how do we know that? How can we test that? I think that
I don't know that it was done, because I'm just saying. Well, it's fairly likely.
Yeah, I'm trying to use this as a teachable moment for people who are watching. That you have to be able to demonstrate whether something's possible before you can add it to the list of things that are, what it could probably be.
I understand your teachable moment here. And I mean, you want to sit here and scrutinize everything. So, yes.
Well, yeah, we're skeptics. That's what we do.
Yes, I understand. I am extremely skeptical of religion because it's been changed so many times.
I'm skeptical of it for other reasons.
I'm skeptical of it because it's based on a supernatural God, which I don't.
But here's the thing: is appealing to that consequent doesn't necessarily mean that it's false. I'm going to put on my Christian hat here and say something can coincidentally be true. We, instead of trying to decide how to figure that out, let's just take a look at the claims themselves and then investigate those claims, because that's something that's actionable. When you're talking about the moon, Personally, I'm glad we went down this rabbit hole because I learned something about the moon, and I'm going to sound less stupid, which is great.
That's great.
I
love learning,
more investigating I can do on the moon to try and figure anything out.
Please do. I need this in my life.
There's no more investigating that I can do because I can't go to the moon, man. I literally can't.
But there is enough data available about the moon to research it more on your own.
Oh, well, I can look at pictures of the moon. I can look at pictures of people that went to the moon.
But beyond pictures, there's actual scientific data in reads that you can sit and look at and study and see the depth of the craters that have hit the moon and what has been the deepest depth of them, and if there's seismic activity and why there's seismic activities. These are studies that we've been doing on the moon for 50 some odd years now. I mean, the data is there for you to research it on your own.
Yeah.
And I look.
Sorry, I was trying to give you dead air there.
And I look forward to it.
I wasn't trying to give you dead air.
All right, no worries, man. This has been fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, y'all can get to another caller.
It has been fun.
Take care, brother.
And thank you for teaching us something today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm embarrassed.
It happens.
Yeah, it's accepting that feeling, accepting, hey, I didn't know something really basic. Okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
I love learning. So anytime I'm like, no, you're wrong. Hey, cool. Show me why.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Cheers to that. That does not mean that the moon is hollow and was brought here Beverly Hillbilly style, you know.
All I keep thinking about is like the Tesla pickup truck now.
Yeah.
Just like bootstrapping with the bad tail, you know, the hitch thing, and just bootstrapping this moon on like a new Tesla pickup truck. This is all I'm envisioning now about bringing the moon.
This episode brought to you by Tesla. All right, let's move on. Let's talk to Jeffery in Maryland. Jeffery, you're live with Eric and Jen. How are you doing?
Hey.
Hello, how are you doing? Happy New Year.
Happy
You
New Year.
too. Thank you.
Just wanted to thank you for taking my call, and I got just one question. Let me get you off speakerphone.
Much appreciated. It's a little less echoey.
Yeah.
Brought you to the conclusion that there is no God.
Well,
You want to take this one first, or?
sure. So first off, you got to define God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you could play a definitions game and say, I define God as this Talk Heathen coffee mug, at which point I would have to say, I agree.
I'll simply say the Christian God.
Okay.
The
Well,
general Christian.
okay.
Okay.
Well, if that's the case, do you believe that this God intercedes and answers prayers?
Yes.
Okay, how do you know that?
Just by living it.
Well, that
By
doesn't-
living it.
That doesn't seem like a great way to determine whether or not something is true. Wouldn't you want to
I'll
investigate
tell
it?
you that I was...
I don't care what you was, Jeff. I'm asking you. Why are you using that to convince yourself? So you could be wrong.
Right.
And also, okay. You know what,
If I'm
actually?
wrong, I lose nothing. I just take a dirt nap.
And you also prop up a system that has enabled bigotry and hate and wars.
And
will
apathy.
continue to do so. And apathy,
And
you're
apathy.
right.
What reason do you have to make this situation where you're in right now better for you or anybody else if you're going to ascend to a better place once you take the dirt nap?
I feel like it cheapens the whole experience.
Right.
Okay, so
So
basically you asked me why I believe
yeah, and
the way I believe.
and I want to give you the tool as to why that's hard for me. Maybe that hasn't been communicated before to you.
I get a general idea from the questions you've asked me.
Well, have you heard of counting the hits and ignoring the misses?
Counting the heads and ignoring the what?
Counting the hits and ignoring the misses, right? So every
Ignoring the
time,
misses.
right? Every time prayer has been investigated, you get a lot of very common lines. I'm sure you've heard of them. How come this prayer wasn't answered? Well, it's part of God's plan. Well, what you did is you just wrote off a miss.
Right.
And then, well, I prayed about this and it happens to be that what I prayed for happened. Okay, that's a hit. So what you need to do is you need to ask yourself, what does it look like if this isn't true? Because right now, at least when I went to church, it's an unfalsifiable claim. You can't possibly prove it wrong, because if the prayer is not answered, then God is true. And if the prayer is answered, then God is true.
Then God works for you and God is listening to you.
Yeah. So that's the first hurdle, is how do you determine whether or not it's true? Because all it's doing is this vicious cycle, right? I could give you an example that you probably wouldn't agree with, and that is that I am that God, right? And when I don't answer your prayers, then it's my mysterious ways. And when I do answer your prayers, it's because I'm all-knowing and all-loving. I'm sure you don't think that I'm God, but...
Oh, yes.
Right.
I know you're not claiming to be God.
No, I'm just using this as an example.
Yeah.
So...
Same example I've been given before.
Right. How did you figure that out?
Well, for me, it was years of being an alcoholic, and then finally, out of nowhere, the cravings, the desire, the taste, everything, it just stopped. It took years of prayer. I mean, I didn't
Well,
give up on praying because I wanted it to stop.
So it sounds like it didn't work.
So hold on, I have a question. Did you just wake up and no longer have the craving for alcohol, or was this something that you sat and prayed on to stop happening? And then one day you didn't have.
And then one day it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, and this happened obviously the first time.
My marriage and.
Did this happen?
Question.
Did this happen the first time you prayed about it?
No, it took actually years because I wasn't in my.
So it sounds like you're ignoring years of misses so that you can count one hit. What was God doing? Playing checkers?
I wouldn't necessarily say that because, I mean, part of me, you still have the ability to choose, and part of me chose.
No, you're writing that off, Jeff. You're writing that off.
You are, and I want to touch on this. Overcoming alcoholism is huge, and congratulations for that. That any overcoming an addiction is
absolutely
is heroic, truthfully, in my eyes, because you never are recovered. You're always recovering, and that takes a lot of strength to go through day by day with it. However, you prayed on this, you worked on this, you asked yourself, I please let this stop happening. Yet you accredit it to God when this was you that thought about this and wanted to change and prayed and, said it to yourself over and over again, I need this to stop. So why take the credit from you for working so hard for doing this and place it into somebody else's hands?
Because I knew for myself, I mean, I quit several times and I always went back because of one reason or another, but the cravings never stopped. The desire never stopped. If I saw other people drinking, my mouth would start watering.
Sure.
I had a time clock that after a certain time of day, I had to have a beer.
Yeah, I still feel that way around smokers.
And that was, what was that?
I still feel that way around smokers.
Yeah.
And
so all of that craving, all of that desire stopped. Like I could go into a bar or be around people who drink and I don't feel like having to have a drink. I mean, I would have to have a drink if I saw other people drinking.
Okay, so I'd like to ask you another question. Do you believe that can happen without a God? Do you believe that someone can quit an addiction and no longer feel those things without a God? Because
I believe they have the desire.
Okay.
Willpower is a very powerful thing. I know.
agree.
I couldn't
Absolutely.
stop without.
Well, you couldn't have stopped without what? Because Jeff,
without faith, without
what you said,
without the Lord.
Well, what you said is it can happen with willpower alone.
Right.
So how do you know that you're not in that group?
Because my personal belief is that I just couldn't stop on my own. It took something much more powerful than my own willpower. Because if I didn't have it, I'd still be drinking today. I'd be divorced again. I'd probably be in prison or dead.
Absolutely.
Not absolutely. Being in prison or dead, Jeff. You do realize that those people who quit aren't in prison or dead. And you already said that people on their own recognizance can get away from addiction. Right. And you're saying because you believe it, does your God only exist because you believe it? Like when you stop, like if you stop believing in God.
For most people, I believe.
No, it's a matter of
we're
facts,
asking
Jeff.
if this is what you believe. Do you believe that your God exists because you believe it?
I believe that God exists, and I share that belief with others. For some reason, my entire life, I have spoken to God as though he were right there beside me. And I don't know why that is. Even when I was a fallen person, a violent drunk, an abuser, you name it. I mean, I was gutter trash at one point. Even when I was that low, I still talked to him. And I believe through those years, he provided for me. I always had a roof over my head. I always had somewhere to go. I always had food in my belly, one way or another, even when I didn't earn it.
Jeff.
And so...
You know that other people weren't as lucky, right?
I understand that. There are people that are far worse off than me.
Yeah, even if we were to accept that your God was real for just a second, you do understand that if that God was real, and this is just about this moral argument, because you're painting this God as if there's some good character. If you had food and you saw someone starving that you love, would you let them starve? Because your God does.
No.
All the time, every day. If you had the ability to give someone a disease so that you can watch them die and do nothing about it, would you? If you love them? No, but your God does that every day, right? Every skinned knee, every disease, every car accident, every great tragedy, right? If you take this God belief that you're saying that you have and look at it like that, you have to realize that even if your God was real, they're not a good guy, Jeff. So for you to say, oh, well, it got me to quit drinking, what a wonderful privilege you have.
What makes
to
you
stand up
what makes your
and
alcoholism?
Say, hey, no, it's okay. For you to stand up and say, hey, I got help. Fuck everybody else. Right?
Oh, I don't necessarily say
no, but
to everybody else.
But that is the consequence of you looking at that and pointing to that as positive evidence of a loving God. Even if we granted that God exists, they're an asshole, Jeff.
And that was my next question is, how do you sit here and say, that's great, God helped me with my alcoholism, but there's a child being beaten next door and starved and neglected? What would make you think that this is something
about it? But that's the thing.
No. But what I'm saying is, what would make you think?
Take our part and do something. We don't. There's a lot of people with, like you said, apathy. Now, God's not
but we're not talking about you. We're
but
talking about your God, and this is the person that you choose to believe in and choose to rely on. I'm curious as to why you would rely on something or somebody that allows you to stop drinking, but doesn't put this child into a place with parents that won't beat him and starve him.
And that's mankind's decision.
No.
But I thought, but wait, but I thought it was God's
child.
will and God's plan. So how is it mankind's decision if it's God's will and God's plan?
We have our own free will.
Okay.
So then why the God's plan and God's will argument?
So
if a child is being beaten or abused,
do they deserve it?
You have to take down as the human being's behavior and why they were abused in the first place.
And so again, you're creating
and
an
became an abuser
unfalsifiable.
themselves.
You're creating an unfalsifiable claim. If there's bad things, it's humans. If there's good things, it's God.
It's God.
There's no way that you could be wrong because you left no ability to find out whether or not that's the case. You're just taking it. Jeff, do you have any kids?
Well, in response to your what you just said,
Yeah.
yes, I do. I just lost my thought. I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
I do have children, though.
Okay. So I want you to think of them as toddlers, right? Because I don't know how old they are, but let's go with toddlers. Would you leave toddlers alone in a room with loaded guns?
No, I wouldn't.
Why would your God? Did your toddlers decide that they need to be in a room with loaded guns?
No.
Okay, then why did your God do it, Jeff? Could you imagine? Actually, no. You know what? There's a better way to explain this. Jeff, do you believe in heaven?
Yes.
Okay. Do you think that there's suffering in heaven?
No.
Okay. Do you think that there's free will in heaven?
I have to say yes, there's free will in heaven because we made the choice. See, we have to come to a conclusion that we love God and that we're
we don't.
willing to do the things that we do to survive or do the things that we do to choose for ourselves to love and be loved.
I mean, you can do that without a God.
Right.
But with human love, it's always conditional.
Okay, can you give me any qualities of your God to say? Because I've heard the agape bullshit. What you're saying is that unconditional love comes from God. You haven't even proven that God exists.
Right.
More or less given me any... why should I believe you about the character of a fictional being that you haven't even proven exists? Like, if you're into talking about the character, you should obviously have some kind of evidence that you're not pulling this out of your butt at that point, because then you're just talking about details of something that we already agree on. We haven't even established that God exists in this universe. How are you getting to its qualities?
Well, that's the argument that's kept atheism and theism at each other's throats, even science and theism at each other's throats for centuries.
No, actually,
no way to prove that God actually exists.
There's
no way to prove that God doesn't exist.
That's a false equivocation,
Jeff. There's only what I've read in Scripture, and what I've read in Scripture all points to the Lord Jesus Christ. His birth, his purpose, his death,
there's no other way it could be. You're not giving yourself any other way that it could be. Either I'm right or I'm right.
Well, why should I give myself if I've believed this my entire life, even beyond?
Because if you were raised in a Muslim country,
you'd believe in Allah.
Well, if I grew up in a Muslim country, I still have a choice to accept the Lord Jesus Christ, and there's a lot of people that are doing
So wait, why don't Christians have the choice to accept Allah then? Why does it have to be the choice to accept Jesus Christ?
Oh, they do. There's a lot of people I've known. Well, a fellow from Egypt I knew was raised a Christian in America and decided of his own free will to go to being a Muslim because he thought it was more traditional and more
fair
believable.
Enough.
So I understand that you're talking about free will. You obviously understand why I asked you if there's free will in heaven, right? Because then you could imagine that God could create a place that's perfect without suffering, that there's still free will in, and just decided to fuck us over for no good reason.
Well, and this is where I stretch into something beyond what is written and what is read in the Bible. My kind of out there belief is that we were the fallen angels, that we chose, this is why I believe that there's free will in heaven. We chose to combat the Lord. And some of us repented, and some of us remained with Lucifer.
That's definitely very Mormon of you.
We were brought to this earth, and we suffer and die because we have to. It's so hard to say it without saying we're being punished for our transgression, but we're not being punished. We're given the opportunity to relive and rethink our existence. Though we don't know where we come from, though we don't know what's going on, we choose of our own free will to return to the Lord as human flesh, so that way we don't face the judgment.
But your God created the rules.
The final judgment of Lucifer, and the final judgment of Lucifer is already written in stone. Now, when
Jeff,
you blame
it's written in a book, Jeff.
Yeah.
And you're talking about the characters in a book. So we're going to push past the moralizing and the evangelizing, and I'm going to talk about some of the claims that you just made that we can actually find out whether or not they're true. Right?
Okay.
We can do that. We should especially be able to do that if we believe that it's true about the world.
All right.
Right? So let's first tackle your topic of free will, because that's an easy one.
Yeah.
Could your God take away your ability to say that God doesn't exist, or could your God make it perfect in everybody's mind that they exist and that you should worship them, and still give you free will?
No.
Why?
Because
I can tell you right now.
Repeat the statement again.
No. If you're going to repeat the statement, we don't need to hear it.
I have a hard time concentrating.
It's okay. How come I can't breathe underwater, Jeff? How come I can't flap my arms and fly like a bird? Because if you're saying that, we have free will, does that mean I can do whatever I want? No, I exist in a physical universe that actually has, these characteristics that we follow, right? So how come it couldn't be the case?
As well.
How come it couldn't be the case that your God could create you to not suffer, especially if they love you, and also give you free will? obviously they decided that you can't fly like a bird or breathe underwater. So why that limitation?
If we had, looking at the state of the earth right now, if we had dominion over the ocean as well, we would have destroyed that too.
We're destroying the entire planet.
We
Jeff.
have dominion over the entire planet. We're
yeah.
destroying it, as we speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're already, imagine if we could breathe underwater. I guess, we would have accelerated our destruction.
Got it. So you're saying because it's bad. So is it more bad that we're destroying the earth, or is it more bad that you think that that there are people suffering in eternal torment in hell? Which one's worse, Jeff?
Well, I think it's worse that people. It's a shame that people are suffering in eternity.
It's a shame.
It's a shame.
It is truly diabolical. The idea that you could sit comfortable,
heart, but
it breaks your heart.
There's always a chance to save people.
Save them from what?
Eternal torment is eternal. That's the definition, Jeff.
Yeah. And if this was God's plan, then
it's forever and forever. And it's one thing that terrifies me, but it's another thing that breaks my heart about every person I meet. If I were to meet you in person, or even now, I could say I love you and I wish you to, be saved and receive the Lord Jesus Christ. But I'm not here to do that. I was here to ask and answer a question.
Sure. And
ask and hear the answer to a question. Sorry about that.
That's all good.
And trying not to babble here.
That's all right. You're talking to two people who get very excitable.
Yes.
And so that's understandable. You're doing good.
you get more excitable if they're sitting next to each other. So, yeah.
And, I can even say, as I said to the screener, I said, I actually appreciate what you guys are doing, because everybody needs to be heard at some point, whether what they, you took the time to listen to me, you took the time to listen to the Moon Man, which I was.
That was an interesting one. Yeah.
The thing is
rude to him. You weren't.
Well, I wasn't rude to him. I was rude to the idea.
Or anything like that. You weren't calling him crazy, but you listened to him. You took the time to listen to him, and that's something to be appreciated, because everyone needs an outlet. Everyone needs to vent, and everybody needs a chance to speak their mind. And that's one thing that you honestly give people, is that opportunity to speak their mind.
I appreciate.
That's why I even bothered to call.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That is very nice of you, man.
It is.
So the thing is, I'm trying to get you to understand that in the same way that dude said that the moon is likely hollow, or most likely hollow, and hitched over here by aliens, the idea of a soul existing within a body, right? The idea of hell, the idea of heaven, the idea of angels and miracles existing only in the pages of a book, but not actually being showable to any degree, is just as ridiculous.
So you don't think someone like Mother Teresa was an actual miracle?
No,
I
don't.
I believe in Catholicism, but this little tiny woman had the faith and the courage to walk up between people who are getting ready to shoot each other, put her finger in the barrel of a gun and say no. And both sides listened.
Isn't it possible that
is miraculous in my opinion? That's anyone would have received that amount of respect. But you had Gandhi, for instance, who had the same influence on people and was still shot dead, assassinated, and for what reason? For telling people to be nice to each other.
That's the power of influence. That's the power of what people can do. You don't need magic for that.
Martin Luther King, in my mind, was a miraculous human being.
Absolutely.
And
you can also point out very evil people who were very convincing as well. What we're listing out, though, is what you're claiming are miracles. You're saying that those are miracles.
I'm claiming that they're miraculous people, but I also consider the fact that, their motivation wasn't just, I just want there to be.
I'm sorry. I just
between blacks and whites.
Yeah, Jeff, I get it. The thing is I don't want to steer off into a direction that doesn't really get us to truth, right? Mm. What someone's motivation is has no bearing on whether or not what they did has magic.
Right.
I want to know about magic.
Or divine
I want to know about Right. And so...
Oh, I'd like to know about it, too. I'd like to see someone healed. And,
why do you believe it?
Eyesight back.
Why do you believe it without evidence? Shouldn't somebody show you a miracle before you believe it's true? Like, I read the Harry Potter series. I don't think I can do any of the spells. I tried.
Oh, I understand. But that is a true work of fiction. It doesn't claim to be...
Okay. The Book of Eric claims...
authentic word of God. It doesn't claim...
The Book of Eric claims...
that it...
The Book of Eric claims that it is.
But there have been many cults that have been claimed it was the word of God. So is that the marker of it?
The Book of Eric says that it's true. And Jen just pointed out that
there have been cult leaders that say,
true.
I am God, this is my book. So because it's a proclamation from God, does that make it true?
Proclamation in the pages.
In the pages, right.
Yeah.
Does that make it true? George R.R. Martin said that there's ice spiders, and I'm still looking for the wall. I mean, what makes it true? Because it's a proclamation from a God?
Well, just in a book?
In a book.
Hold on for a second.
Sure.
Are you trying to ask me a question or...
I am. Charles Manson said he was a god.
My wife was asking me a question, so...
I'm sorry. I thought that was for us.
You were given examples of other times that people have said, this is the true word of God. And we're trying to point out ones that you would not believe.
Right.
So
the Quran is the true word of God. Do you believe in the Quran?
The Book of Mormon.
The Book of Mormon. The Torah. Do you believe in those because they are a word of God?
Well, I have to believe in the Torah to believe in the Bible
because
the Torah
the Quran.
is the evidence of Jesus Christ.
But the Quran. Do you believe in the Quran because it's a word of God in a text?
Well, the Quran, what I've read of it, it contradicts itself.
So does the Bible.
So does the Bible.
I'm going to say the Bible contradicts itself.
Okay, so then throw that line of logic out. No, hold on. Throw that line of logic out.
And to hate, it says that Allah is the father of all lies.
No, Jeff.
You're pointing something out and exposing some serious cognitive dissonance here. You're saying, I don't believe the Quran because it contradicts itself. Oh, but I also know that the Bible contradicts itself. No worries on that.
Right.
Why?
Why is it okay for the Bible to do it and be true and not the Quran?
Well, I don't think you heard me correctly. I said, I know you're going to say that the Bible contradicts itself. If you look at it, if you study it, I found reasons why those contradictions. It's so hard to explain this.
No, you're talking to a Catholic. I'm fully aware of the have to see a hateful God to know a loving God contradiction. A former Catholic, I should say.
Yeah, the contradictions that I've seen work within themselves to actually, like if you go to court, you don't want someone to have the same witness because it could have been coerced or it could have been, planned out. It could have been, it could have been, they could have been manipulated. I don't see how people who didn't see what they saw and didn't believe what they're telling people could sit there and lie to people's face under the penalty of torturous death.
That's happened before.
But that's happened.
People, I was just lying. I was just kidding.
Jeff,
I was just full of it.
That's happened before. You're giving the die for a lie argument.
Yeah.
And that has happened before. There are plenty of people who saw or say that they saw miraculous events and have gone to the end of their lives saying that that is exactly what happened. And honestly, that's easy to believe. It's not hard to fool a person. That's why Penn and Teller are in Vegas, right? You can fool people. The fact that you fooled them.
You can. I mean, the guy that discovered the Loch Ness Monster on his deathbed said it was all a hoax.
Right. So do you think that everybody? Okay, hold on. That is not a good comparison, because I specifically brought up people who were convinced for bad reasons. I'm not saying that your story about the apostles dying for a lie was because they were trying to trick people. I'm saying that people can die for something that they think is true that is not true. And because that's the case, the argument that die for a lie is something that can get you to truth, it just isn't there. It doesn't work. Because every time we see that, that's how we get the Heaven's Gate massacre, right? Jonestown. That's how you get Waco. When you have these religious fundamentalists that believe their cult leader that they should kill themselves or that they should kill others, they genuinely believe it, man. I mean, with Charles Manson, people
genuinely
carved crosses into their foreheads.
Charles Manson.
Yeah. We just spoke over each other, giving the same example. That's awesome.
Exactly.
So these people carved crosses into their foreheads. Do you think that they were purposefully lying? No. So why is the die for a lie argument convincing to you? Because that just makes Charles Manson God as well.
Jim Jones, too. And if I'm not mistaken, Jim Jones wrote a book saying he was God.
Yeah.
L. Ron Hubbard, Scientology. Granted, he didn't directly come out and say, I'm a God, but in...
He said, if you subscribe and
if you get to OT level 9,000, I can be your God. But
well, no, you can be your own God.
Yes, you could be your own God. But what? Just getting back to that, die for lie and the text. Jim Jones wrote a book, said he was God, and then had people die for it. What makes it any different?
And that is how easily people are duped. And that
so why can't we say the same about the Bible and Christianity?
Because if I, personally, were telling a lie...
No. You're convinced, Jeff. No, Jeff, nobody's saying that you're...
If I myself were telling a lie and were held at gunpoint, I think I would tell the truth.
I agree, Jeff.
Absolutely.
You're not listening.
Right.
You're close. You're very close. And I'm not saying that you're doing this on purpose. You're super, super close. We're saying that in this example, you actually thought it was true.
Yes.
Okay.
Why would the apostles themselves, having witnessed Jesus Christ...
Why would the followers of Jonestown sat and witness Jim Jones?
They thought it was true. I'm granting you a whole lot here, Jeff. I'm granting you the God claim. I'm granting you Jesus. I'm granting you apostles. I'm granting you that people could have died thinking that they saw something that wasn't the case, right? People can be duped, and you agree that people can be duped. And so you're saying that, what, somebody would magically know that, oh, hey, I was lied to, and therefore I need to, under duress, admit that it was a lie. People can die thinking things that are not true. It's what...
If I were claiming to be a witness of these supposed lies... Why would I continue to lie under the penalty of death?
Because you wouldn't have lied. You would have been convinced.
You would have been convinced that this was the truth.
You were lied to.
So if someone were to say, I saw the resurrection.
No. If someone,
my Lord.
No.
And we're lying about it.
No.
Full stop.
Jeff, I saw a video a couple months ago of somebody saying it was a video. It was in Africa. Somebody laid hands on a dead body and the dead body came up. Right? People say that they can raise the dead. And there are videos of it on YouTube. Do you believe that that's true? No.
I believe it. I believe it's true that people can be brought back from the dead.
Yeah, only if they do it in your Christian worldview. I'm not going to even follow you on that one, dude.
Right.
So let's go back to it.
No. Here's a better example. The preacher with the jacket that smacks people with them, and all of a sudden they can come up out of the wheelchair, and it's a friggin' miracle.
He might not believe that, though.
Right, but that's what I'm asking. Do you believe that?
The guy that yanks a chicken liver out of your ear and says you removed the cancer. I'm not so
I'm
sure.
glad that there's some skepticism there.
There's some skepticism there. That's what I was trying to get to. There's a little bit of skepticism.
What I'm trying to get to here, Jeff, is these are people that could be convinced of something that is not true, right? Your example is that somebody lied to you about having seen the risen Jesus. I'm saying these apostles, right? In this example, if you want that to be true to hear, you saw someone rise from the dead, or at least to the best of your knowledge, you saw someone rise from the dead, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Okay, you were convinced of it, right? Right. Yeah. In this example, totally. If someone points a gun to your head and asks if you're lying, would you say, oh, I'm totally lying?
No, because I witnessed it with my own two eyes.
Exactly.
Right.
Your eyes can fool you, Jeff. People get fooled all of the time. It's why we have cults. It's why we have all of this shit, dude. People get fooled. It happens.
But it was written that there will be false prophets among you.
Oh, so
that's been written in every religious text ever. This is the same thing that cult leaders say.
If I'm not right, if somebody says that I'm wrong, that's actually proof that I'm right.
David Koresh turned around and said to his followers before Waco burned to the ground, they're going to tell you I'm a false prophet. These are false prophets. They're going to kill you. And these people genuinely believe that.
And it's tragic.
When a guy sits there and tells me that he has to have sex with my 12-year-old daughter and
but it's
I don't think I'm buying that guy's story.
Okay, then why are you buying the Bible?
But then why would you expect the apostles to buy some other guy's story or whoever wrote whatever book of the Bible that you want to pick from? Why do you take his word of this person heard this story from this person and not the fundamental LDS, somebody told Jeff, can't think of his name now, to go marry 12-year-old girls? What is the difference in that? Why is it that your apostle is to be believed, but the leaders
Joseph Smith.
No, not Joseph Smith, the one that's in jail.
Oh,
that they caught with the wigs, that guy.
Yeah.
Why is it that your God speaking to your apostles is suddenly truth and his God speaking to him is not?
Because there are logical warning signs. But
it's the same premise. It's the same premise.
Telling you to hurt yourself. When you have someone telling you
God told somebody to kill his kid.
You have people who were in the medieval times self-flagellating or flagellating.
How does this?
And they were convinced that they were supposed to hurt themselves.
Okay,
they were convinced that they were supposed to hurt themselves.
How does this get you to truth?
Christ, and that wasn't truth.
How do you know that?
And so, how do I know that?
Yeah.
Because there are
just what?
There's a logical reason.
I'm waiting for logic. I haven't gotten it yet, Jeff. Help me get there.
Well,
what is logical about this that I'm not understanding?
If I'm supposed to be believing, even in something like the Quran, and it tells me to go out there and murder somebody, then I know personally that's against the law and it's lunacy. I know you're going to say that, following, but you gave me the example of somebody who believed in his religion that he was told to kill a child. Now,
how about cutting off foreskins?
I'm against abortion and then turn around and murder a child.
I'm sorry, I didn't follow there. Could we do a different example? I didn't.
Let me think of a different example if you're asking me.
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So he gave the example of a I guess he was a pastor of some kind that murdered a child and was...
No, I was referencing Abraham being told by God to kill his son as a test.
Oh, well, that's an example of what God was supposed to do for Jesus Christ.
Wow.
Because God himself gave his only son.
So that... Please.
It was the same thing he asked
Think on that for a little bit.
No, just...
Now, a man was willing to do that with his son that he waited for
think on that a little bit.
Years.
So you are excusing the character of your God because you said so. The conversation's over at that point.
He didn't have to go through with the sacrificing Isaac.
We're talking about the character of this God. Let's make sure that we're not getting off
it's
base.
still the fact that God told Abraham to go kill his kid to prove your love to me, and then turned around and went, "Whoops, gotcha. I just wanted to see if you really loved me to the point that you would murder your son." So what makes that any different than a cult leader, Charles Manson, going out and saying, "Hey, go kill people for me to prove you love me"? How is that any different? Why is this Bible the word of God when you reference, if somebody's going to tell me to go out and kill somebody, I'm not going to follow what they say? God has told many people to kill many...
Slaughter the Amalekites.
Yes, kill the firstborn son. Go out, go forth and murder.
Well,
but you'll believe his word, but not Charles Manson when he tells a group of teenage kids to go kill households full of people. His word is not the word of God.
The reason we're giving this to you, Jeff, is because we want you to see that this line of reasoning that you're giving is bad. It's bad. This form of reasoning that you're giving, this form of reasoning that you're giving is bad. We're giving you examples of why the type of reasoning, the structure of what you're giving us, does not get you to truth. You can accidentally get to truth,
right?
But the way you presented that cannot get you to truth, because we can show you examples
where it's contradictory.
Yeah, that were not only contradictory, but you would agree on your own that they were false.
Right, and you would agree on your own that the text in your own Bible and the things that he's asking you to do would probably mean he's not a god and he's, one of these people that you've lumped into a cult leader. Or the things that he's asked, the stories being told.
Jesus Christ was a cult leader?
No. What I'm saying is that the things that you have said, this is the marker of a cult leader, they say these things are also said in the Bible. So what you're choosing to follow are the same examples that you're citing for cult leaders and people that you say this is probably not a guy to follow or a person to follow.
Well, this is another one of those parts that you have to kind of reach to understand, is you have to understand that there was pre-law, the law, and then the period of grace.
No.
After Christ comes the period of grace.
No.
Jeff, no.
No, I'm sorry. I am a former Catholic, and you have to know a damaged and abusive God to know a loving God is exactly what keeps people in abusive relationships. I've abused you, and now I'm going to love you. It's called love bombing, and it's a common tactic of abusive situations.
Ooh,
you're good. You're terrible. But I love you again because you learned your lesson. But remember, don't do that lesson again because I'm going to abuse you. It's called love bombing, and it's a trauma bonding tactic.
Ooh, can we add in gaslighting?
Gaslighting,
right?
Yes.
Oh, no, I totally love you.
No, hold up. Abraham, what are you talking about? I didn't really tell you to kill your kid. That's just how you took it. I didn't mean that.
Or even when it gets followed through. When it gets followed through, you get...
Why did you do that? No, that's totally not what I said.
No, that's people acting like people. You see, they have free will, right? It has nothing to do with God because people did it.
Right. Well, hey, God, why did you allow this to happen to me? Well, I gave you free will.
Yeah,
Whoa,
absolutely.
Gaslighting 101.
Right? And I can give you a human example of it, right? Why did you make me hit you? Well, when you do that, I hit you.
Yeah. Why did you leave me broke and evicted? Well, you didn't pray hard enough, so I hit you. I hit you to teach you a lesson.
If anything, your God's an abusive monster. I don't know how you get out.
I went through that for years, thinking that everything I did wrong, I was immediately punished for, because I had the misunderstanding of the same thing. That God.
I'm sorry
God punished you for making a mistake?
No, he's talking about his parents. I'm sorry you were raised in an abusive household. That's not how it should be.
No.
Oh no, that was true too. I did take a pummeling at home, but I was.
I'm sorry about that.
Upbringing.
Do you think that children should be raised in abusive households?
No.
I agree. Thank you.
I think we're all on page.
So let's go with that. We've been on this call for quite a while.
Yes.
But it has been a fun talk. And I know that I'm going to go back and listen to this, and I hope you do too, because we gave you a couple of examples that I think we were flying quick. We were getting off the rails a good number of times.
We did.
And so I want to signpost a couple of things. One of them is the tool that you're using, the examples that we gave as to why that tool doesn't work, the reasoning that you gave, the die for a lie piece. We gave you many reasons as to why somebody could die thinking something that is true, or something to be true and it not be true. Right? People can be fooled. We talked about a number of reasons why you think that the Bible is true, one of them being because the others are totes bad. And so we even took you on that.
Totes bad.
Right? We even took you on that because we said, okay, well, here are bad things in the Bible. Like, we're giving you everything we can to show you how piece by piece you're giving a special exception to yourself. And that special exception is letting in a whole lot of bad ideas that empower people to be violent.
And fall victims to abuse.
To kick members out of their family, to honor kill, to, there's so much hiding behind there. And I just want to help
as
you a
for
little bit
all
at a
the
time.
Picking people out and honor killing and everything like that.
Yeah, it's all people, right? Your guy totally didn't have anything to do with it. It's gaslighting.
No, there's a choice in that as well, and
free will.
I have that.
Yeah, we're back to that now. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeff,
But
I hope you have a wonderful
I'll tell
day.
you now.
Thank you for calling, Jeff.
What's that?
We're going to move on to the next call.
We're moving
But
on. Thank you for calling.
thank you.
Oh, okay. I'm
Yeah.
sorry for taking up so much time.
No worries.
I'll try calling back later.
Absolutely. I was
Sure.
just trying to help give a couple signposts. That way, as you're going back, you can kind of pick those apart. And I'm going to do...
All right.
All right. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah. Generally, what I do is I listen back to the call afterwards and go, okay, that might have been a good point, but maybe I can structure it
Yeah,
differently.
I'm definitely doing that later tonight.
Yeah.
I'm
It-
definitely doing that later tonight.
I think we did really good. I think we can streamline it, though. And I want
Yeah, that got kind of off
off the
skirted
rails a
off the
bit.
rails. Yeah.
That's okay. It was fun. Okay. Let's... Oh, dear sweet.
Oh boy.
Okay. Before we get to that, let's go to Rudy in Indiana.
Yes.
Rudy, you're talking to
How's it
Eric
going,
and Jen.
guys? What's up? What's up? Happy Sunday to you.
Happy Sunday to you too. Thank you.
whoop.
Thank you. Thank you.
Great energy from this call. I like this.
I think I need
For
to
sure.
caffeinate
Yeah.
a little bit.
I'm
more.
ready.
Yes.
I've been waiting on hold for 25 minutes. I'm ready to rock and roll.
This
All
is. I
right.
love this. I
What-
love the energy. Let's keep this going.
What do you want to talk about?
So like I was telling the other guy, basically, so I'm a Christian, right? And I mean, I just want to have a civil discussion as why I should, not believe in the Lord or not believe in the Christianity or not believe in religion versus being an atheist. Why should I choose to be an atheist versus choosing to be a believer of the Lord? And also, basically, why should I believe in atheism if it doesn't cost me anything, whereas believing in the Lord or believing in religion won't cost me anything as well? And what pros do I have to be an atheist versus what pros do I have to have a religion?
Okay. Well, can I touch on this cost anything aspect?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Just because it doesn't cost money doesn't mean it doesn't cost anything. For many of us, especially women in the church, it cost us our autonomy. It cost us our self-worth. It cost us a lot of the ability to know how to function in healthy relationships outside of not being servants. So yes, even though it did not cost us a set amount of dollars, it cost us years of having to say, I am a person, which to me, there cannot be a value put on. It costs years of children saying, I have to completely obey my parents and being afraid to question authority and set boundaries and stand up for themselves. So yes, there is a cost when it comes to believing for mostly what we would consider minority groups.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I apologize. But I also have to think, and let's be honest with each other. It's 2020, right? Most of our minds are pretty open, right? So you believe what you want to believe. I believe what I want to believe. We live, I don't know if you have any children or not, but you would raise your children differently than I would raise my children, whether or not we had the same religion or not, right? So even if you didn't believe and I didn't believe, there are certain morals and aspects that we could both most likely have a common ground on and say, okay, it's good to do this, it's not good to do this, right?
Okay.
It's
Rudy?
not good to go out and kill somebody, it's
Rudy?
not good to go out and rape somebody. But for
Rudy?
the most part, since it's 2020, most millennials and, most people who are younger, for the most part, I should say, we all have pretty, similar, aspects on what we believe and how we live our lives. So, religion or not, I feel like whether or not in this upcoming generation that we're living in, it wouldn't necessarily make a difference if, we were based on one religion or based on another religion or not.
Hold on, Rudy. So you gave a lot, and I want to address two of them before they pop out of my head. One of them is cool. We're becoming a more secular society, and we're learning to understand and be better neighbors. That's fantastic. That has nothing to do with whether or not your belief is justified, because it has nothing to do with whether or not your God exists. So I'm going to take that and I'm going to put that on hold. I agree with you that we're becoming a more secular society, and the more secular we become, the more we can empathize and broaden that tribe
And look
that
at
we're
more
taking
humanistic as far as more humanistic over religious view. Right.
Now, going back to the first thing you said, that's called Pascal's wager.
Yes. Thank you.
Have you heard of Pascal's wager?
I have not.
Okay, cool. I am happy to. I'm
is always so fun.
going to try and do this visually. Okay. I know that you're not going to see it because there's going to be a bit of a delay. But so I want you to have this mental image. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So you have 4 boxes, right?
Okay.
And one row is true and the other's false. And then going the other way, it's God and no God. right? So let me show you. If you believe in God and it's true, you go to heaven.
Okay.
If you believe in God and it's false, dirt nap. And then if you don't believe in God and it's true, you go to hell. If you don't believe in God and it's false, dirt nap.
Dirt nap. Right.
And so when you called up and gave that first bit, it made me think about Pascal's wager, because the conclusion that Pascal came out with was, well, it's better to believe just in case.
Okay.
But here's the thing. What if it's a different God?
Yeah.
So,
Right? What if it's
What if it's Odin?
or Zeus?
For sure, right? I mean, we can sit and talk about monotheistic religions as well as polytheistic religions, about that there is, whether there be a God, whether there be an Allah. We could talk about Hinduism, how there's multiple gods, right? We could go by that.
Well,
but, I mean, if you believe that there is something in the sky, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be, the Hindu religion or the Muslim religion or any other religion, right? We could talk about Catholicism, everything all day. But if we believe that something is up there, right? Just something is out there, right? It may not be like the other person was talking about, why does God, kill people? Why do mass shootings happen? Why do natural disasters happen? Why do people die every day? Putting all that aside, saying that there is a supernatural force out into the universe, then in theory, as long as we believe that there is something out there.
Why?
Why?
Yeah.
I mean, because there already is supernatural forces.
Okay.
I mean,
Fantastic,
let's be honest
Rudy.
with each other. There
Let's
are
talk
parts of
about
the universe
supernatural
that we haven't
forces.
even expanded to
Rudy,
yet.
let's talk about supernatural forces, because I think that's where the linchpin is. How do you define supernatural?
Supernatural is something that our mind, in my opinion, to define supernatural is something that our mind could not comprehend. Something that is going to be like, if you were to tell that to somebody, they wouldn't believe it because it sounds off this world. It just doesn't sound like something that would be realistic.
Okay, so
an example.
So hold on
Go
a
ahead,
second. Hold on. No, that's okay. I think your definition is a bad one, and I'll tell you why. Because you can explain really advanced math concepts to me, and I would not understand it. That doesn't mean that it's supernatural. Or according to your definition, it would be supernatural. Right?
Well, not necessarily. I'm not saying that something that's beyond comprehension. Like, I mean, you could obviously talk
that's
to me
exactly
about
what you
calculus
said.
too, and I'm going to be like, I don't know what that is.
Exactly.
I think I have a better example of this.
Well, I mean, by his definition, that's supernatural, right?
Right.
So can you think of a definition that's better than that?
Better than that?
Because you just made advanced math supernatural.
Right. I understand what you're saying with the definition that I've given. And you do make a point that you are right, that my definition of supernatural is probably not going to be the best accurate definition. I'm talking about, like, forces and things that are not, that cannot be explained on this earth or in this universe. Okay. So, like, for example, we could talk chemistry, I won't understand it. We can talk another language, I wouldn't understand it. We can talk math, and I wouldn't understand it.
But what about the forces in the universe that we have yet to understand? Do you consider that supernatural, or is that just something we haven't figured out yet?
It would be supernatural, absolutely. So, for example, like, I mean, we could talk 500 years ago. We didn't know that there was such thing, as other planets, or we didn't understand that there were
So would that
other
be supernatural? Would that still be supernatural? A couple thousand years ago, we didn't realize that the sun was a star. Would that still be supernatural? A couple thousand years ago, we didn't know that the sun was a star. So would you still consider that to be supernatural?
In that time period, yes.
Okay,
So this is something that can change with education and knowledge. Okay, that's what I wanted to clear up. Thank you.
Correct. It can change with education and knowledge. You're absolutely true.
Okay, why is that useful, and how does that point to a God?
So the fact of it is so. Let me get a second and regroup here. What I'm saying is that if there's something that's out there that we can't comprehend, or something that's supernatural and something that's out of our grasp of knowledge, then how do we know that there is, and how do we know that there isn't? And if there is a God, right, which I'm claiming that there is, then how do we know that we haven't found it, or how we haven't discovered it?
Well,
the universe is so big.
If you're claiming it's there, Rudy, then obviously you've discovered it. Help us get there with you.
Can I draw a counter conclusion to that, though?
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
There were things that we, thousands of years ago, we said had to be God because God did it. And then we found out, no, it wasn't God, they're actual processes. So wouldn't that count for God not existing and no longer being supernatural?
Well, according to those definitions of gods, Apparently.
Right, because that's and if it's coming across to me and I'm kind of not getting it, please let me know. But by your definition, because there were things that were explained by God that have now been explained as something naturally occurring, then God is not supernatural and God should not exist.
Right. So I don't necessarily want to sit here and say that, like, things happen and things are created by God. I mean, so with the amount of science and technology we have today,
I can do that.
I mean,
okay, cool.
We're capable of creating our own elements. We're capable of creating our own things. We grow things. We made cars, right? We made airplanes. Okay. So obviously, certain things that are in this world are not things that are made by God. They are made by man. But what I'm saying is, to boil it all down to just to one thing, and my main question is, so if there are supernatural things out there that we can't see, right? I mean, supernovas, black holes, like we can see pictures, we can see videos, people can tell us about it, and we believe that it's true.
Right.
Right? So someone can tell us, oh, there's a galaxy that's 10,000 light years away. Here's a picture of it.
Okay.
And from NASA, let's just say. And we're like, okay, cool. There's a galaxy, and it's 10,000 light years away. Okay. There's a picture of it.
Rudy.
It's true. So how can we believe what science tells us versus what the Bible tells us? Because in the end, isn't it kind of the same thing? It's the man showing us a picture of writing, and we're kind of forced to believe it. Go ahead.
Jeez. Okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's just buckshot when it's like that, and I can't answer you when you do that.
Sorry.
That's okay. I know you weren't doing it on purpose. You're excited. So let's cut down a couple of those things. So the first one is it's called an appeal to mystery. You don't know, I don't know, therefore I'm right. Is what you said boiled down. You don't know, I don't know, therefore I'm right about my assertion. That's not evidence for your God. It's evidence that you don't know and I don't know.
Right.
That's all you get to say. So as long as you're going to appeal to that, you're not going to convince a damn person unless you don't know and I don't know I'm being like that is bad reasoning. So I
could agree with that.
Cool. So please take that one out of your toolbox right away, because that definitely, I think that's going to affect your definition of supernatural, but that's okay because you can structure, work on it, and then test it from there. That's the scientific method, is you create a hypothesis, you explore, you test, and then after testing, you go back over it and say, okay, what did we get right? What did we get wrong? What did we learn from it? And then you go from there. You look for things that are falsifiable. The reason the science is different than the Bible is because the science doesn't make claims that it can't back up. It tries to explain them.
Right.
We use science as a tool so that we can continue to learn about the world. The Bible says this is how it is because. That's what's different about it, Rudy. One is a process that we can continue to use. The other is a dead end.
It's a definitive verb. It's a definitive term, and that's just how it is, and that's what it's going to be.
That's right.
Right.
That's what's different about it.
Right.
Right. So then let me ask you, so necessarily, and this is what I want to know about it. So, right, the Bible is written, right? Mm-hmm. People go, millions of people go to church every Sunday and read from a book that's several thousand years old, whereas scientists read from a book about studies and researches and things they found within the past week, within the past month, within the past year. But that's not to say, and this is just me saying, but there's no reason to say that everything that you read in the Bible necessarily has to be set in stone. Now, let me elaborate, okay? You talked with the last caller about how, who was it?
Rudy, do you go to church?
Wait, Rudy?
Rudy, hold on. Do you go to church?
I do not regularly go to church, no.
Okay.
But
can you think of a pastor in existence that would accept that?
Hold on, wait.
I mean,
I have a better question.
And that's fine if you're unorthodox.
I have a better question. Can you remember a story in the Bible where things were actually written in stone and on stone?
No. No. I'm obviously not going to lie to you because I want to tell you nothing but the truth. I don't want to come across as a liar.
Absolutely.
Right.
And
okay.
I love
No.
that.
Yeah. That's why I asked.
Just what I know. You know what I mean?
Yeah. If you're saying everything's up to interpretation and I can make it flex, then what you're saying is I can't test it, and I can't accept that. I can't accept that. I'm not going to accept. Hey, Eric, you should totally drink what's in this mug. Trust me, it's great. Right? What's your reason for it? Well, right? Because that's what you're saying at that point is it's flexible. No, it's
Even
not
science
flexible.
Is flexible. Even
Science is not. You keep bringing up science
Right.
as if it's this monolith. It's a method.
It's a method that is ever changing.
method, right.
However, I've never seen the Bible or any biblical texts that have turned around and said they're ever changing. And in fact, the 10 commandments to live by were written in stone
Right.
and could not be changed. And this is what you have to live by, or you're going to whatever your version of hell is.
And
For sure.
So again, you're specifically saying that we agree now that science is a method, right?
Science is a method, correct.
Okay. So
But
hold on.
Let me ask you this:
Rudy,
Do you believe in the Big Bang?
Rudy, please,
What?
please let me finish.
I'm sorry.
I want to finish the statement at some point.
And he's Eric has given you the
okay.
space to finish your statement, so let's allow him to
Okay.
finish.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. This is charitable listening. That's what you do. You expect the best out of the other person because they're way more likely to live up to it.
For sure.
Rudy, I keep going back to this. I'm sorry, let me take a drink of water really quick. I keep going back to this because I want to show you why you're using a bad tool. Another one. And the bad tool that you're using is you're comparing two unlike things to prove one of them. You're comparing science and the Bible, right? So let's just break this down to the simplest we can. Let's say you're absolutely right about any claim that you make on science. Does that influence the truth value of the Bible? Okay, so then please throw that out, because any claim that you make about science does not back up the truth value of the Bible unless you're testing the Bible.
Right.
And you have to do that with science. But regardless, it's a false equivocation that doesn't get you anywhere. So even if we were to grant it, you agree it doesn't work. So pull that tool as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you can come up with more and call in again and use different reasoning, and we can try and sharpen those tools so that you can have the best understanding of this universe as possible. We're trying to do that to each other. Take that tool out. It's a false equivocation. It doesn't work.
Okay.
Cool.
I understand. So,
Awesome.
I have one last question.
What's up?
My last question is why should I be an atheist versus why should I be a Christian?
Okay.
What advantage do I have of believing that there's not a God versus an advantage I have of believing there is a God? Like you said in the beginning of the call, if I believe, then I go to heaven. If I don't believe, I go to hell.
Rudy, we're not shopping for a car here.
Yeah, exactly. We're not looking for power doors.
Whether or not there's advantages doesn't take into account whether or not it's true.
Right.
I don't care what's advantageous. I just want to know what's true. Right? If I were to tell you, look, if you walk into the other room, you're going to get $1 million. Does that make the $1 million true? I mean, I don't understand how you're getting to there. You're saying, what are the advantages of being an atheist? You're an atheist. What are the advantages of being a Christian? Well, there are things
Besides
that you could
the
list.
heaven thing.
We can argue about things that are here on Earth. You know, there's community. There are excuses for people to do charitable works. I disagree with a lot of those methods.
But we could say that with the atheist community too.
Absolutely. Yeah. I'm just saying that these are, these are things that people bring out, but it doesn't matter. It could be horrible.
Yeah.
You know, that's one thing that I think that I'll give the Westboro Baptist Church is...
we're going there today? Okay, we're going to go there today.
But they are at least internally consistent, and they went, you know what, even if we don't like it, that's what we think is true. It's not about the advantages. It's about whether or not it's true.
Right.
You know, if you were to ask them, would you like to make friends? I'm sure they would. But the fact is they were convinced that that is true. So please... it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether or not there are advantages. It matters whether or not you have enough evidence to justify believing it.
And this is what you believe, and this is where you feel safe, and this is where you feel wanted, loved, and understood.
And so where you're going from there, I'm not asking you I'm not asking you to be an atheist. I'm asking you to justify being a Christian because I don't think you're justified in it. And when you bring it up, when you give us examples, we can try and talk about it. And we gave you examples of why that reasoning you were using is not good, and you agreed with us. So please continue to reason. Please continue to explore. And the more you do, I think the more you can bring back and we can talk about it. I am convinced at this point that the evidence that I've been presented for various gods has been lacking. I don't see sufficient reason to accept the God claim.
I don't see sufficient reason to believe I'm a lesser being.
I mean, so I don't understand why you're comparing them. Like, we're not Toyota and Ford. We're not, Power Windows
and tint
and
GPS navigation on dash.
What we're saying is you should have good reason to believe the things that you believe.
Brilliantly said.
Cool.
Brilliantly said. I'm so glad you explained it that way. I'm going to, you know what? Now I'm going to read more. Now
Cool.
I'm going to learn more, right? And I want to come back to you, and I want to make good points.
That's
and
awesome.
I know you'll
Thank
make
you.
good counterpoints. And you know what, you guys?
What's up, man?
I understand your reasoning, and I understand your thinking, and I totally respect it.
Well, that's awesome.
I
man.
Thank
I
you.
wish I had more substantial, analogies and evidence to bring to you. And it sucks that I don't. It's kind of shitty. But, you've made valid points. You've made valid counterpoints. At the end of the day, you believe what you believe. And at the end of the day, I believe what I believe.
Boy.
So here's the one thing, man. I hope that what you take from this is that we respect you.
Right.
We respect Rudy. And Rudy
yes, we
respects
respect
Eric and Jen.
Right.
Of course.
Bad ideas don't deserve respect.
Exactly.
If somebody says, I'm justified in honor killing, well, it's not like just your idea and you got your beliefs and I got mine. I think there's a good reason and a good, definitely a call to action for us to sit here and say, no, that is a really fucking bad idea.
I can't respect the idea that if I have a boy, I'm worth more as a woman than if I have a girl and I did something wrong. I can't respect that idea. I can respect you and the things that you do. But I can't respect that kind of idea.
Right. And so just saying, I respect your ideas. I don't care if you respect my ideas. Respect me.
Right.
Fuck the automatic idea that ideas deserve respect. They don't. People deserve respect. Ideas should be suspect. And we should have damn good reason. That's right.
Right. Well, also, you got to remember at the end of the day, people earn respect, right? People don't just automatically right off the rip deserve it, right? Think about it. If a guy came on your show and immediately started dropping F-bombs and saying, well, F this, F that, F you, he doesn't deserve respect.
Well, actually, his ideas don't deserve respect. His ideas don't deserve respect. But I'm talking about basic human decency. Right? If somebody called in and said, F that, F you, F this, F that, and we can say fuck on the show.
Yes, we can.
And it can be pretty fucking nice. That said, I am not justified in being an asshole to them because they did it. Because that says everything about me.
Right.
They still get respect from me because I'm not going to lower myself to being an asshole because they were an asshole. People deserve respect.
Well, let me tell you this. You're a pretty big person, man, to give everyone respect. I have to give you that, honestly.
Well, cheers, brother. I appreciate it, man. We got a couple more calls that we
man.
want to get to.
Thank you for
so
calling
much for taking my
and
call.
speaking
You guys
with us.
enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
You too.
You too.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Buttons.
So let's go on to Fred in Florida. Hello, Fred.
Hello, Eric. Hi, Jen.
Oh.
Hi, how are you? Yeah.
I'm good. I've never seen you before, Jen. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Hi, thank you. I'm sorry. We had a side powwow. I'm sorry. Can you say that again?
I said, I've never seen you on the show before. It's nice to see you.
Thank you.
Wow.
This is my first live show that I've done with the ACA. So
Yeah.
it's nothing that you've missed. Believe me.
But if you like Jen, you can find Jen on Godless Bitches 3.0 premiering after the Atheist Experience tonight.
Can I get that voice on a recording for just to promote? Because that was perfect.
Okay.
Like a good promotion.
Right. So Fred, just so that Jen knows you,
Yes.
you've called in and you've said that the Bible has prophecies that have been fulfilled, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So I called in about several different things.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It says in the notes that you want to talk about fulfilled prophecy.
Yeah. Well, what it is
That was not
is something that I believe I heard you say, Eric, and I was just wanted to clarify it because I think that you said that in the Bible where Jesus told his disciples that he would some of them would be there, see him in his glory, before he went to it, or see him in his kingdom before before they died. That you said that was not fulfilled.
My understanding of it was that the prophesied end times in Revelation were going to come to pass before that generation passed.
Yeah, but when you read the Bible, okay, but that is what you said, okay.
That's my understanding of it. Please.
Okay.
Yeah.
One of your things, what you told Jeff was what did I get right and what did I get wrong, right? Mm-hmm. And so this is something that I think that you just didn't get, like you kind of didn't get it, and it's important that we know what the truth is, right? Or for me, biblical truth is important, because but if you look in the very next verses in Matthew 17. Matthew 17, 1 through 6, it talks about the transfiguration where they did see Jesus in his glorified body.
Okay.
I believe that's what it was speaking to about,
Okay. The interesting thing about these is you have a competing interpretation. And really it's not my game to play. It's my game to sit and listen and find out whether or not I am justified in believing it. So I'm absolutely willing to drop the interpretation that I put forward because I don't believe it. I'll take your interpretation. That's fine. I'll meet you where you're at. The question is whether or not we're having a good conversation. So your interpretation of prophecy is that people were going to see Jesus, right? And you say that later on in the story they see Jesus. Cool. Now what? Are you justified in believing that God for that reason? Do you think that prophecies are a good way to tell? And how do you determine whether or not a prophecy is convincing? Those are good questions, aren't they? Jen has something to say.
Those are good. Oh, go ahead.
No. I was trying to relay a silent message, which I'm absolutely terrible about. I had no idea I'd be silent. So
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah.
Sorry. So going back to that, right? Is fulfilled prophecy a good reason to believe? Well, I think we can start by saying that there are plenty of non-Christian, quote-unquote, prophecies that have been fulfilled, that people tout around. So leaving the ones that you're bringing up on the side for now, how do you determine that prophecies brought by other religions, that are claimed to come true, why are those not convincing for you?
Okay, well, the thing is I'm directly talking about something that you said, and that that I believe that it was wrong. And I'm saying, if we went through all the prophecies, we'd have to go through them and sit down and go through them and see what they say to really know, what they're all about. We're, the other Nostradamus or the Bible one. We'd have to sit down and look at them and take them for face value and see what they say and break them down. That's the only way to really go through it and do it. Just to say offhand, we'd have to really look at them.
Well, so I'm granting you, investigation. I'm granting you a lot of that. So let me give you an example. Right? You watch the show. I bring out the Book of Eric, right, as this kind of competing idea. So let's say in the Book of Eric, it says that Eric will rise from the dead, and all of his friends will see him. And then in the next chapter, we read about Eric's death and that he rose from the dead, and all of his friends saw him. Does that fulfilled prophecy convince you that I'm God?
Eric, do you think you're God?
No.
First of all, Eric, do you think you're God?
No. But I could be lying to you.
Okay.
I mean,
we'll look at Eric. What I'm doing is you're saying that you wrote a book and you're claiming that you're God. Mm-hmm. I'm saying, do you think you're God?
Well, you're assuming that the writers of the Bible are as intellectually honest or as on. you don't even know who the authors of the Bible are. None of us do.
Right.
Some of them we can point back to, but not all of them, right? You have multiple books written by absolutely anonymous people. You're assuming their character is you're assuming that their character is spotless. The fact is, I could lie to you, and especially if I had good reason to lie to you, right? If I was motivated to lie to you because I had things to gain by doing so. And I mean, honestly, man, it just doesn't hold water when you look at something
we all like to be right. And again, okay, you're saying it doesn't hold water. But again, I'm pointing to something where, I'm saying you're wrong and there's a reasonable explanation of why, you didn't understand, whatever. I mean, I'm not trying to, say that you're wrong. I'm just saying that there is a reasonable explanation for this being fulfilled. So, I mean, for me, I would look at one error at a time, okay? You think this is an error? Okay, let's look at it. Was it? Yes or no?
Right.
I mean,
so let's...
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So let's start at the very beginning. How do we verify that those prophecies actually were things that happened?
Okay, well, obviously, you're not going to say that
well,
it was at the...
Well, I mean, saying it's in the book is not going to convince me. I'm sure you know that. So what is convincing? How have you come to the conclusion that what's written in that book actually happened? You don't even know the character of those people. Right. I don't understand how you're getting there.
Well, I know the character of the people. I mean, pretty much...
You know the characters?
You know the character of these people that are telling the story of the people that the miracles have happened.
These anonymous authors.
Yeah, the anonymous authors.
Let me finish.
If you say I have to understand that it's divinely inspired, I'm
Let me finish, Jared.
Okay, please.
They were fallen people. Did
I hear that right?
Yeah, fallen people, fallen world. It's unfalsifiable,
did that
man.
laugh in my ear like that?
Sorry,
okay.
I mean, we already went over this earlier.
Okay.
They're in need of a savior, just like me and you are.
Right. I'm right because I'm right because I'm right. And if I'm wrong, that means I'm right.
Yeah, even if I'm wrong, I'm right. It's just you choosing your free will to say that I'm wrong.
Yeah. I mean, we're going back to a gaslighting God. Could a gaslighting God exist? Maybe.
What a theme for today, hasn't it been?
Yeah. But I'm not convinced. I don't think you should be either.
No.
Well, okay, but what I'm saying is, and there's many things like, you go like the atheist websites have, and they're talking about the scriptures like, or where they're false and stuff, but they're not. And that's...
But what's...
Wait, let me finish.
Go ahead.
Sure.
It's important to get, to know what we got wrong and to know what we got right. And is there a reasonable thing for it? Or do you just write it off because I don't like it? I say no. It goes both ways.
Well, and
it's like you're saying wrong.
Actually, no. Hold on. I did not author these atheist websites that you're referencing.
Okay, but
personally, I can tell you that
I know you didn't.
Well, yeah, and I can tell you. In my personal experience, I've had plenty of people, atheists, who say, hey, Eric, I can show that the Bible was false because here is this contradiction, and this contradiction, taken the way that I'm defining it, is not real. Well, you know what? That's great for anybody who believes exactly what you're saying. But Fred, the more interesting conversation is when we listen to you and go from there, right?
Uh-huh.
And so if you want to talk about contradictions of the Bible, okay, we can talk about contradictions of the Bible, but if there's a tap dance that's going to go on there, fallen people, fallen world, what you did is said, I'm not interested in any conversation with you. But even if you weren't to have written me off completely by saying, well, I'm right because I was wrong, we're still going to have to sit down and talk about it. And I say we should. If you want to argue with atheists on the internet, I'm sure there are plenty who would be happy to argue with you.
There's whole websites of Bible contradictions and this and that. I'm sure you've seen them before.
Well, and they're actually helpful for people who believe those things, right? If I were a believer and I thought, hey, I have a literal interpretation of, Genesis, and I were to learn about how you can track human history and find that there was never a time where there was just one man and one woman. right? If you were to learn about how our world was instant, how mountains form, how our oceans became,
where the continents are the way that they are.
Yeah, why the ocean has so much water in it and why it's salty. I mean, if we were to, investigate those things, then that is evidence against the claim that God created it in 6 literal days. Right? It has its uses.
I mean, I know you got your tectonic plate theory.
Yeah.
You got your your flood theory. You got different things, but the blood actually the Bible, flood's not a theory, but it's a biblical
it's a story.
But
It's
you have different theories, and honestly, to say 4 billion years ago, we don't know what happened 4 billion years ago.
We don't.
Fred, you just reminded me. I know this is off topic, but I have to say it because you brought up the flood story. So, have you heard about the Ark Park?
Yes, the Ark Park. The Ark Encounter in Kentucky, where they have rebuilt the Ark, and
they think that they believe that the Earth is 6,000 years old, and they have a museum where humans live alongside dinosaurs, as if the Flintstones was a documentary.
Correct. Yeah.
Do you believe that stuff? Before I go on, do you believe that?
Yeah. Are you a believer?
Do I believe in the young Earth? I am a Bible-believing Christian.
Okay, but are you a young Earth Bible-believing Christian?
I am a Bible-believing Christian, so yes, I believe that God made the Earth.
No. We're asking you.
He's saying it.
Okay.
Yes, you believe that the Earth was created in 6 days and is 6,000 years old.
And the 7th day, God rested, yes.
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I believe it's the 2nd or 3rd Saturday in July.
Usually the 2nd.
I think so. There's an annual protest that goes on at the Ark Encounter, right? You probably saw the news articles about it a couple of years back. They called it the Genocide and Incest Park.
I remember that one.
I've been invited to MC this upcoming year's.
Congratulations!
Right? I've been invited to MC this upcoming year's protest. If you can make it out to the area, I'd love to see you there. And for those of you who are watching, I'd love to see you there too. Yay!
When is it? I'll find it.
Yeah,
I don't know if I can make it or not.
No worries. But that's definitely a battlefield that I would be happy to meet you on, sir.
Yeah. Well, if I can make it, I will. You know what? Yeah.
Oh, it's on the 11th, Saturday, the 11th of July.
Oh, they have the date. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at keeping up with things. Thank you.
The 11th of next month?
11th of July of this year. It will be July 11th, 2020, that they'll be holding the protest again this year.
Yep. The only problem is it's in Kentucky, but you're from Florida.
And it's a drive through nothing whatsoever.
It's pretty nothing. Anyway. We're off topic. Fred, I hope that this conversation helped a little bit and helped kind of solidify why we're looking at it this way. Why?
I hope it helped you move closer to the truth.
Well, if you can show that it's true, I'm willing to listen. You just haven't shown it yet.
I showed something that you thought was wrong in the Bible that can be explained. Yeah.
Okay. I'm glad. I really do need to make a better habit of not making claims about the Bible, because I'm sure you understand that there are plenty of people who would look at something that you think is literal and call it allegorical, right? There are so many people who say, well, it's just a translation error, so it works itself out. And there's so much of that making...
That's why we have the biblical doctrine that's been around for years. That's why when you go to a church, they have their statements of faith, so you know what they believe. And all these churches, they have what they believe. It's pretty concrete. It's not really that flexible.
Well, it's you got to look at it from our side, man.
What the church believes and what they teach. I'm
got to look at it.
There are people saying that they're Christians. I'm a Christian atheist. I've heard that before. Well, okay, where do you go with that?
In a totally different direction that we don't have enough time to follow, unfortunately. I'm not going to establish myself as a church. I'm just going to listen to people who want to talk about what they believe.
Exactly.
Good call, man.
Okay.
Thank you for calling.
Yeah.
It was nice talking to you.
Okay. You guys have a great night. Nice talking to you too. Bye-bye.
Sorry, just looking at the live chat. Just because somebody's wrong doesn't mean that I shouldn't hold myself to a higher standard. So just because he's wrong about prophecy, and we talked about it, doesn't mean that I shouldn't go, hey, you know what? To be a better interlocutor, to honestly assess things, I shouldn't be making truth claims about something that I don't think is true.
Exactly.
So moving on.
That's just integrity.
We only have a few minutes. Oh, shit. I need to thank the patrons.
Yes, you do.
So it is time to thank those patrons. If you'd like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/Talk Heathen to me. That's patreon.com/Talk Heathen to me. Our top 5 patrons today are Charlotte Crum, Desert Heathen, Bethany. There are a lot. I believe this person's a chaplain.
A chaplain.
Cully and Ribbow.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It's
you
your
so
patronage that
keeps the building open, keeps us here, keeps our lights on.
keeps us creating new shows like Godless Bitches 3.0.
I love the plugs that you're doing for this. Really.
I've done this for a little bit.
I know, but it's so nice to just hear it flow out. That's
Right.
what it is. It's wonderful.
So,
Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. I think it's definitely worth it. In fact, let's do it this way. I'm going to shake things up. V, come on in. Come on. What, you're doing?
No,
Godless Bitches together?
I'm curious as to what the hell you're doing because you don't tell anybody anything.
Well, I thought about it off the top of my head.
Oh, yeah, because these are always bright
Well,
ideas.
I have 2 hosts of Godless Bitches right here. Would you help us end out the show?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay,
everybody.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Do you want to here?
squat here.
Here, no,
we're
squeeze
good.
in.
We're good. I can't hear anything, so.
I have an opportunity to have 2/3 of this new show in the studio. Mm-hmm. So what time is it going to be premiering?
After AXP, so
Right after AXP.
yeah,
Okay. Where can people find it?
same channel, Godless Bitches channel on YouTube. Same channel. Might look a little different, but
Yep, we're doing a little
it's
bit of
still there.
rebranding.
We're still there. Yeah, we're doing a little bit rebranding, redecorating the house a little bit. That's all we're doing.
Awesome. I really, really hope y'all check it out. Make sure that you subscribe and hit that bell. That way you can be notified when new episodes come up.
Yep.
And if you haven't done it for this show, please, you can do that as well. Patreon, all of that good stuff. Jen,
Yes.
it's been awesome doing a show.
It has been awesome. I was like, please, you're gonna make me remember the tagline because I spaced. Please don't make me do
Why do you think I brought in help?
It
All
was
right.
fantastic doing the show with you. Thank you for having me on.
Absolutely.
Really.
So for those of you who don't believe, you can have good reason.
They actually gave me. For
Ma-
those of
They've-
you
they've
who,
got it.
am I just gonna do the whole thing?
No,
Okay.
no, but-
you
but-
do the first, I do the second. Then we'll.
Well,
just
we all
figure
do
it
the
out.
second part together. That's okay. For those of you who don't believe, you definitely do have good reason. Before we move over to the next part, we got to go to the crew cam.
Oh,
we have
we've
to,
got the crew cam.
because we have an amazing crew on
We
the other side of this
do.
wall who make this happen. Thank you, crew. Thank you for everybody who came out this weekend.
Thank you to everyone who came out. Thank you.
Now, for those of you who do believe,
We don't
we don't hate you. We
We just think you're wrong.
It's 2/3 of Godless Bitches. I have to. Come on. The new episode is tonight.
Okay.
Tonight.
Wait, tonight?
Is it tonight? Oh my god.
What are we doing, man? What are we doing?
No, you're done.